do it.
Jose, how's it going?
Very good, very good.
Good.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for making the drive over. Not too bad of a drive, pretty quick and easy, but appreciate you stopping by. I know we want to talk about a few different things today, but maybe we could start with just like a general intro to you, who you are, what you do, and maybe a little bit about your company.
Yep. So I'm Jose Crespo. I'm the general manager of QC Laboratories. I've been in aviation for about 20 years now.
Okay.
Started actually, if we're going way back to the beginning, right? I started in high school in an aviation and aerospace magnet program.
Okay.
Then also with JROTC.
Yeah.
And after graduating, I realized college wasn't the path for me right away. So I went straight into the Air Force. Spent 8 years as an F-16 crew chief.
Very cool.
And then after that, focused on maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So I got into overhauling landing gears and tried every department from disassembly and blasting to assembly and testing. And then that's where I discovered non-destructive testing, or NDT.
Sure.
And that's where I'm at now. I've progressed and done pretty well. And so now I'm managing QC Laboratories, and we do non-destructive testing for aviation, aerospace, defense, and space parts.
Very cool. Just going back to, I wanted to ask you a question and kind of hit on something. It's been topic of conversation in a lot of these podcasts, and we were just talking about the guy who we were talking about. His episode will probably be dropping in the next day or so. But around, like, how did you get in high school? What attracted you to aviation? Because it's a big problem right now. We're talking a lot about the workforce and bringing people into the industry. So I'd be interested to learn more about, maybe you were 14, 15 years old. What brought you into this?
Yeah, so for me, it was natural. My brother, my older cousins, they were all a few years older than me.
Okay.
And they were all in a club called Civil Air Patrol.
Okay.
It's like an Air Force auxiliary unit that met once a week, and they would get training on things like marching and drilling and search and rescue and aviation history and things like that. And me being the younger brother and younger cousin, I always had to tag along, and so it just felt right. And then when I went into high school, the Aviation and Aerospace Magnet Program presented itself. It was a new program that they were starting, and it just seemed like something interesting to do as an elective course, and I just fell in love, and then that's it.
Very cool. Yeah. So I think it's like, we've been talking a lot about just getting that exposure, and you had that exposure from people that were close to you. Not necessarily everybody has that. And so, we've been working on a few things to try and, get into high schools, even middle schools, and start getting that exposure and really kind of I'm a big advocate for kind of creating this message, making sure that kids are comfortable with these alternative paths out there. And like you said, college wasn't for you. It's not for everybody. And there's plenty of career paths out there that don't rely on, your standard college education. Right.
And with the way the workforce is going, right, all the experience is retiring.
Yep.
We definitely need more people. And I'm a fan of bringing people in and mentoring them and training them. And I wish we had more people that wanted it.
Sure. So tell me, let's go back to QC Labs. Tell me a little bit about the business, maybe like when it was started, kind of what you specialize in. Maybe we could talk a little bit about NDT and roll from there.
Yeah, so QC Labs was founded in 1965. So it's
been around for a minute. Okay.
It's definitely been around for a long time. I guess it's about 57 years or so.
Okay.
It was recently acquired by Brian Neff, who is a phenomenal leader. And all we do is NDT. We're a dedicated NDT service company. We provide NDT services for every industry, but primarily our bread and butter is in aviation, aerospace, defense, and space. Right. So QC Labs really built its popularity on being extremely qualified. Right. We have more quality accreditations than most other NDT service businesses in South Florida, and we travel everywhere in the world to do these inspections. But our credentials is really what sets us apart, and that's what's allowed us to carry through the pandemic and to build up on all the new things that we're doing now.
Okay, and so in regards to and do people ship parts to you to get NDT, and then you're also going out on the road to perform those? And so what does NDT entail? And maybe you tell us a little bit about the technical aspects of NDT testing.
Right. So one can never fully understand or fully learn everything there is to know about NDT. There's so many different methods. Basically, what NDT is in a nutshell is non-destructively testing or inspecting any material to check for a variety of things. You could be checking for defects. You could be checking for cracks. You could be checking for foreign object debris. Mm-hmm. Anything that would allow you to determine whether a unit is serviceable for continued use or to be put into use for the first time.
Cool. And I would imagine that, with all of the changes in technology and all of the composites, the different types of materials, the different way things are being built in aerospace, I would imagine that NDT is constantly changing. How does that impact your business, and how are you staying on top of that?
It definitely impacts the business. So there's a big trending topic right now called NDT 4.0, right? And it's basically the digitization of data within the manufacturing space, and NDT is following suit with that, right? Our softwares are allowing us to do better things. Before, all of our test equipment used to be analog, right, or manual. Mm-hmm. Now they're digital. We're getting into some real advanced methods, advanced test methods that in every discipline of NDT, right? So there's many different disciplines, many different types of inspections that we do, and in each one of those, it could almost be considered an industry of its own. Mm-hmm. And the technology is just improving by the hour, I almost want to say. But we're blessed enough that we have a leader who sees the vision and shares the vision, and he lets us invest accordingly where we see the need, where we see the industry going. So, we've been in business a long time, but we have the technology of a startup company, and we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to allow us to keep up and keep pace.
Cool. And how, in regards to your personnel and your team, I'm sure that's a lot to keep up with as well. You have the technology side of things, but, bringing people into the organization, getting them up to speed. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably been the most difficult part, right? Mm-hmm. We can train someone very, very well, but finding the right people or even in some cases finding people already credentialed is super difficult. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good companies out there that are competing and they're paying very well, and so we have to do our part to keep up with that. So, we have a good incentive package and we offer good training. I help push people to their limit. When we get into the interview process, we talk about goals not only for the company but for the person as an individual as well.
Right.
And a lot of times they have aspirations to become what we call level 3 NDT inspector, and it's my job to lay out a path to help them get there. So we've been lucky enough that the team has seen the value. I've helped people accomplish their goals, and that's how we retain our workforce. That's the only way. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I see possible.
Sure. And so in regards to the NDT Level 3 inspector and getting to that level, talk to me about if I was coming from outside of the industry, what would it take to get there? What are we talking about in terms of training, time frame? And is this a path that is reliant on being an A&P mechanic or somebody in aviation, or is it really a separate path that's independent?
Yeah, it's definitely separate and independent. It's focused on the test method that you're studying. So there's basically 5 dedicated or the primary test methods, right? We focus on radiography, liquid penetrant, magnetic particle, eddy current, and ultrasonic testing.
Okay.
And for each one of those, there's a separate criteria, but it's always a combination of experience, classroom training, and testing. So, once you've gained the amount of experience on the job, right, and taken the formal classroom training that's required and met those hours, then an NDT Level 3 will examine you, right? And that consists of a general, specific, and a practical exam.
Okay.
And so once you've met all those requirements, you can do it. But like you said, to get to a Level 3, typically that can take anywhere between 3 to 4 years.
Okay. All right. So it's not a super long process, and you can be working along the way. It's not something that just takes 4 years and you're offline, right?
Right. No. So you're working along the way. Yeah. You're working under the guidance of other Level 3s or Level 2 inspectors.
Sure.
And they'll help you and they'll train you.
Okay. And in regards to, because this is a changing aspect and between the materials, the software, the providers, is there any kind of, I'd say, advice maybe to the aircraft operators or owners and how they're handling these types of things?
Yeah, definitely. So what I see is the biggest advice that I would give to operators is to make sure that the people that are performing your NDT inspections are properly credentialed, right? So there's a few different accrediting agencies out there. And for aviation and aerospace, you want to make sure that all your personnel are NAS 410 certified.
Okay.
Right. So there's a little bit of confusion because some people rely on other standards like ASNT TC1A, which is heavily on the industrial side, but NAS 410 focuses on aerospace, and
Okay.
It's a little bit more strict because you have to actually highlight every single hour of training and what type of training it was and what it was done for, and that all has to be approved by your Level 3. So most people don't document their training hours as they should, and they find it very difficult to get certified to do NDT for aviation.
Okay. And so, and I know that there's a lot of discussion around supply chain in general. I know that in regards to just getting in for scheduled or even unscheduled maintenance, there's been a lot of delays. A lot of the service providers out there have been kind of overwhelmed over the last 2 years. How has that played into your business and NDT, and what are you seeing there?
Well, we have a phenomenal team. They're super dedicated. They take calls every day, every night. We stay flexible. We understand that the customer is our priority, and we're there to service them. Mm-hmm. But with regard to supply chain, definitely we struggle to get things on time. We place a purchase order, 3, 4, and 5 or 6 months in advance, just because we know that we're not going to get the material that we're ordering right away. Okay. So we're having to order, consumables and equipment very, very early on.
Sure.
Just to make sure that, or to counteract that supply chain issue.
So in regards to being, for owners and operators, planning as far ahead as possible is key.
Yeah, absolutely. The farther you plan ahead, the more guaranteed you are to receive a good service, right? But we also do take AOG calls.
Okay.
So every customer has to understand that there will always be a fee associated with that, right?
Sure.
But we do take AOG calls quite frequently too.
Okay. I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about something that I don't know anything about, which is additive manufacturing and maybe a little bit on 3D printing. So what's your involvement in that? Yeah,
so QC Labs has really become one of the leaders in NDT for additive manufacturing.
Okay.
So this style of manufacturing or 3D printed parts, as we'll say, right? And we focus mostly on metal 3D printing. Mm-hmm. But this industry is growing rapidly, right? So, and the materials are very different than what traditional NDT service companies are used to.
Okay.
But we have relationships with our customers that most of our customers are primes, right? Like NADCAP primes, right? So we deal with a lot of big name customers, I'll say.
Sure.
And they're all experimenting in this area. But we've been in business with them for so long that they've trusted us to hand these materials over to us, and we've gained a lot of experience inspecting metal 3D printed parts for mostly for the space sector, but aerospace is taking some time to adopt it.
Sure.
Really, but the space sector, man, it's on fire.
Yeah.
It's hot, and we're getting a lot of those parts, and we've seen them, we're inspecting them, and we're identifying the differences between those and the traditional materials, and we've just become the leader at it.
Cool. And what types of parts are you seeing that are coming in for these types of inspections? What type of parts are being 3D printed?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of rocket parts, right? So like things like thrust chambers, nozzle assemblies, swirlers, and these are all, rocket engine components that have good thermodynamic qualities. So a lot of copper. We need parts that are lightweight, so we're seeing a lot of titanium parts, and then functional parts like manifolds. We're getting those in aluminum, nickel, Inconel, things like that. But these rocket parts, they're really interesting.
Cool. And I know that you're part of an organization, the AMGTA. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what that is, what you do there, and kind of how that plays into what you guys are doing.
Yeah, great question. So currently I'm a director on the board of directors of the AMGTA, the Additive Manufacturer Green Trade Association. And what this organization does, we raise funds to study, to do life cycle assessments and study the value of these additive manufactured parts versus traditional manufacturing, right?
Okay.
So through our member companies, we'll raise funds and we'll work with third-party independent universities, and they will do real studies, real assessments to compare the environmental benefits of these 3D printed parts versus traditional. And so what this does is it helps the industry, aerospace industry in particular, right, embrace the idea of 3D printing and additive manufacturing, and hopefully to propel it to gain acceptance faster.
Sure. How do you see that impacting? Like right now, they can't produce. There's a shortage of parts, and how do you see that impacting supply chain in the future? And do you see much faster?
Oh yeah,
lead times. To market, lead times. All
lead times
that
go away. What it would typically take a casting house, a year to 3 years to produce, we can do in 2 to 3 weeks. Or depending on the part, and the engineering and the geometry of the part, but it can be significantly reduced.
Yeah, seems like an opportunity to really significantly change the industry and how things are done. Yeah, very cool. I guess in regards to we're kind of I guess we're 2 months into 2022. What's on the horizon for QC Labs, and where do you see things going?
So with all these 3D printed parts and the complex geometries, the materials the parts are getting bigger, right? And bulkier and heavier. So definitely we're focusing our efforts on advanced inspection technologies, and a lot of that has to do with high energy X-ray systems and CT scanning.
Okay.
So that seems to be the future right there, industrial CT scanning for metal 3D printed parts.
Really cool. Okay. And I guess in regards to, people are interested in learning more about your product, services, maybe they have an AOG situation. How do they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so you can follow us on LinkedIn at QC Labs, or you can just reach out to us by email. It's going to be info@qclabs.net. So info@qclabs.net.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and talking to me a little bit about some things that I don't have much knowledge on, and giving everybody out there a bit more info about what you do, QC Labs. So it's been great having you. Anything else you want to hit on?
Nope. Just want to say thanks for having me. I love your show, and I look forward to hearing the other episodes.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.